Hello. First I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I had a nice narc-free Thanksgiving. I went to my in-laws and we did kind of an early dinner, so it was more of like an extended lunch. So I'm home now. And I figured I'd make a video for, it was a video, this kind of comes from a video I watched yesterday on the Ollie Matthews YouTube channel. It was a video called Accepting Your Role in the Situation with Your Narcissist. And not only was this video triggering for me, but the comments in the comments section were as well. I'm sure some of you have seen this video. I don't know if any of you have seen some of the comments that were in there. But it's basically about a woman writing in about her son. And her son was married to this psychotic woman who, she has a lot of mental issues, and she's very narcissistic according to the mother-in-law, but there's no drugs, apparently, which I don't know how you would know that really 100%, but she keeps swearing up and down there's no drugs. So right off the bat, I mean, there might or might not be, but she starts saying things, and Ollie sort of called this out immediately, that part of the problem, you know, like, it's a larger issue here, like, why did your son end up with a woman like that? You know, there's kids involved, and there's custody issues, and apparently she's been abusing the kids and stuff like that, so Ollie's like, well, wait a minute here, how did your son end up with a woman like that? Because usually this stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum. Usually it's rooted in the family and the upbringing and how you grow up, and he even said to the woman, maybe you're more similar to this woman than you want to admit, or maybe it's because you tried to son-husband your son. So he sort of saw some red flags with this woman writing in off the bat, and she wrote in under the name God Save Us, which is it seems a little histrionic to me, you know, like, oh my god, this woman is so horrible, and she's saying things about this woman, like calling her the C word, and saying, like, you could see the devil in her eyes. I think she compared her to Charles Manson. Like, really going very far to just trash this girl. Saying things like, oh, she's so inept, she can't even boil water the right way. I think it was something like, I don't want to sound like a nasty mother-in-law, but she can't even boil water the right way. It's like, well, you kind of just did. I mean, really, you're getting that petty? So Ollie sort of was calling this woman out, like, how did this happen? This doesn't happen in a vacuum. And then he read a little further on into the letter, and I was really reminded of my mother, because she said that she thinks part of the reason her son ended up with a woman like this is because his upbringing and her family is so perfect that they were all blindsided and didn't realize women like that existed. So right there I was triggered, because my mother, as far as her marriage to my father, you know, my father, as I've said in past videos, is a total train wreck. And knowing what I know now about narcissism and seeing how she is and watching certain things in the extended family, you can't just blame one person like, oh, it's because he's a drunk. You know, there's always a larger picture. And, well, how did you end up with a guy like that? What attracted him to you, you to him? You know, stuff like that. And a lot of this is rooted in childhood. And she acts like all her problems just came about because my Satanist father came into her life, and that fucked everything up because it was so perfect before. But anyone who's versed in any of this at all knows it's a crock of shit. And it was really triggering, because she reminded me of my mother, because what she said about herself and her son's upbringing is because they're all so perfect. They didn't realize people like this woman existed. And my mom said, because my family was so normal, I didn't realize people like your father existed. I just thought he was like my father, you know, her father, who walks across the water, by the way, like the second coming of Christ. So right there, that was very triggering. I think, too, that's why this woman that wrote in, she's so insistent on saying this woman is psychotic, she's crazy, she's Charles Manson, but no drugs involved, I swear. No drugs. That can't be, that's nowhere near my perfect family. Oh, drugs, no. You know, but she's calling her a cunt and saying, like, oh, she's Charles Manson, her eyes look like Charles Manson, but no drugs, how dare you say that? It's just, it was just very triggering. And you know, you can't really you don't know 100% just from this video if this was a narc mother or not, or maybe you can misinterpret the letter or whatever, but this woman came into the comments section on the video, totally gave herself away. First of all, just listening to the video, I saw red flags myself, seeing how this woman reminded me of my mother and denying any part in how her son ended up with that woman. Oh, well, we're all so perfect, you know, that maybe that's the problem, we're too perfect, and he didn't know people like that existed. Or just the extent to which she went to bash the girl. I mean, she can't even boil water properly. She looks like Charles Manson with the eye. Like, it was really just too much, and you could tell that she's trying a bit too hard here. And, you know, if the video wasn't enough to give it away, the comment section was, because people started commenting on this video. And most people who wrote in the comments agreed with Ollie, saying, you know, oh, I could definitely see it, that the mother is a problem here. Not that the daughter-in-law, the son's wife, is not a problem, because she definitely sounds very messed up, and I'm sure a lot of the stuff is true that she's saying about the girl. But you have to so you wonder, does the mother have something to do with it? So people are writing in the comments what they think, and most are siding with Ollie, kind of agreeing with him, because they can see it for themselves too. So this woman goes into the comments under the name Granny Dearest. So that right there is a bit of a red flag. I mean, some people might choose a name like that, and it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, you know, like joking, like, oh, I'm the best grandmother. But I think this woman is serious, and seriously thinks she's like the Virgin Mary here, because every comment that someone agreed with Ollie or thought she might be a problem, she went through and wrote a nasty rebuttal to every single comment. And I've never seen that on that channel or any of these channels. And this looks like a narcissist in a death spiral. So if that wasn't enough, the rebuttals on people's comments, there are some individual comments as well that are just so over the top. And I said, you know, I was reading one of the comments to my husband because it was so out there, and I said, well, he was like, oh, maybe Ollie will do a video on just that comment. And I'm like, well, probably not, because he's got a lot of other videos, but it's like, I just said, you know what, why don't I make a video about it? Because it's very triggering for me, and I think it's because of the way my mother is, the way I was brought up. And it's a perfect illustration of how when the narc tries to defend themselves or make themselves look better, 99% of the time they only make themselves look worse and dig their hole deeper. So if all the nasty rebuttals on 30 or 40 comments or whatever it was, as if that wasn't enough, right? You go into the comments thread, and here's one. Granny Dearest. Now this is like a mass rebuttal to everyone that wrote in this comment thread. Haha, you were all so far off. Please don't any of you become detectives, okay? Haha, snotty bitch. My son is the oldest. He is an extreme introvert. He can be intimidated and controlled very easily. He's even intimidated by his own lawyer. And before all of you say, what did mom do to him? The answer is nothing. That's probably disappointing for some of you, but the truth is he was born that way. Wow. So she wrote this 8-paragraph comment, but right off the bat, 3 sentences in, she's putting her son down. Basically, I could see it clear as day. Like, he's an introvert, you know, he has no spine, he's a wimp, that's why, you know, so. And she's like, I didn't make him that way, he was born that way, it's not my fault. Yeah, bitch, if you're speaking about your son this way, yeah, it is your fault. Not even 1 paragraph in, she's putting the son down already. So, and this is triggering for me because my mother has talked about me like this my entire life. She even, one year, I think I was going into middle school, and parents were allowed to write letters in to the principal if you think your kid will do better with a certain type of teacher, any recommendations. So my mother wrote a letter about me to the principal in 6th grade saying that I'm very quiet, I tend to internalize my environment, everything bothers me, almost as if I'm like autistic and I have meltdowns, like I need to be coddled. So this is like in 6th grade in middle school she's writing this about me to the principal so they know what a delicate flower I am and I can't handle anything. And the fucked up thing too is she showed me the letter that she wrote about me. So this is just an example of how she tried to, my whole life, instill a sense of learned helplessness. And if this woman is talking about her son this way, I guarantee it, that's what she did to him. Also, I want to make something very clear who those said I should stop supporting my son. No one said stop supporting him. That's bullshit. You know, just, it was like, stop meddling so much, not stop supporting him. And then she said, I would die for my kids, all 3 of them. So if that makes my son husband, that's your opinion. In my opinion, I'm just a pissed off mama bear. You sound very overbearing and psychic. This is like a clone of my mother. She claims she remained quiet, and for 2 years the family court stuck an umbrella up my ass. So then she's saying she's defending her language, calling the girl a cunt. But first understand, for 2 years I watched the family court screw us over, and I stayed quiet, and it's just words. This girl mentally and physically abused my son. So this whole paragraph about how they got into a domestic dispute, and then she goes on bullet pointing out all the reasons why her daughter-in-law sucks. You know, like, and some of them are very vague. Like, I know she has many questionable boyfriends and friends, so, like, she's cheating on the son, which isn't good, but saying she's got many questionable boyfriends and friends, and, you know, stuff like, we know she was sleeping with other guys, and we know of approximately 20 men. And I'm not saying it's not true. She could have been cheating, and that's not good, but a lot of this just sounds very exaggerated. You know, she will not stay quiet anymore. You have no idea how crazy this girl is. We do. I'm swearing because I'm mad. I'm swearing because I'm frustrated. I'm swearing because I can't get anyone to listen to me. And then she says, Ollie, the only way I'm like her is that we're both determined to win this shit show. You know, like, it is kind of like she son-husbanded her son. And for the son-husband, that's a term Ollie came up with, where, so I can't take credit for it, but I do, it's like one of my favorite terms in this community, where a narcissistic mother tries to sort of keep her son really close and, like, break him down, you know, so he stays close to his mommy, and it's like a husband that'll never leave, and it's like a totally sick relationship. So that's, like, what he said he thought was going on here. The only way I'm like her is that we're both determined to win the shit show. So I think she's sort of in competition with the girl anyway. I posted on this channel for support because I feel victimized. My son is not the only victim. She's trying to save her grandchildren from the same childhood that Ollie had. And then she actually said in the letter she wrote to him that she was gonna love bomb the heck out of them or something like that. And that's something that a narcissist, love bombing is like basically stalking, or like something a smothering psycho boyfriend does, basically. So someone called her out and said the fact that she wrote that in the letter is a bit of a red flag. She said, love bomb is not always a bad thing. If you think that, you're obviously a victim. By love bomb, I mean I will love them with hugs, kisses, and family outings. Just a normal family that loves them. Never assume. Aren't they all just perfect? I'm just as much of a victim as any of you. Everyone else I've seen in this community that's a true victim, usually the first thing they do is belittle their own story, saying, oh, well, my story's not as bad as some other people, or my story's not as bad as yours. So that right there is a red flag. You're all acting as if I couldn't be. Well, guess what? That girl took the kids and took my grandchildren. So I call her the C word because there's not a stronger name for this sociopath. And then she's done this a couple of times where she's attacked. Where'd it go? Yeah, I clicked on it and everything. Okay. So yeah, she's just as much a victim as any of us. We're acting like she couldn't be. And then she attacks everyone in the community. You're all so narrow-minded. that you thought I wrote in support for my son. I was seeking support for what she's done to me. Bitch just told on herself. Oh, this isn't really about myself. This is about me the whole time. Yeah, I'm more of a victim than he is. He's just the one getting abused, you know. It's really about me. So I was seeking support for what she's done to me. I also feel like a victim. So that's not the only comment that was very long. I didn't even read it all in detail. I just went over it. So she commented again, "Look, I get that you're all skeptical by nature and I understand why. You're dissecting my letter word for word. I.e., I used the word love bomb. I meant real love, not the shit that was done to most of you. I said I swear this is true because this case is bizarre, not because I'm trying to convince you. I could care less about what you think." Nuh-uh, bitch. You care a lot. If you didn't give a shit what any of us thought, you would not be in this comment thread making nasty rebuttals to every comment and writing your own comments that are 6 paragraphs long trying to prove how innocent you are. If you really didn't give a shit what we thought, you would not be spending your time doing this. So, you know, and you say none of us should be detectives? Really? So, I said I swear because this case is bizarre, not because I'm trying to convince you. I could care less what you think. And my favorite word analysis was using the C word, because that word cost my son his kids, and the truth is that I was anonymous, so I could say what I wanted to say. I didn't write the letter so my son and I could be ridiculed and insulted. I wrote it because I thought other victims on this channel would finally understand what this sociopath has done to our family and the agony of what we're going through. All other details aside, there are three children living with a very dangerous person. She's a child abuser, has some questionable associates, she has been diagnosed with 8 to 10 major disorders. Again, I don't doubt that there's a lot wrong with this girl, because obviously this can't all be made up, but 8 to 10 major disorders, like, is that even possible? And then, not in capital letters, she does not use drugs, no matter how many times you say it. Because based on everything she's saying, it sounds like there might be drugs involved, but you go anywhere near drugs, she gets so defensive, like her family's too perfect for that. But she'll call her a cunt and compare her to Charles Manson, but there's no drugs. She still does not use them. That's not to say her friends and family don't. As for the comment on her eyes, I actually sent that letter before. People remember when they've met her by asking, is she the one with the creepy eyes? That's how black and evil her eyes are. I compared them to Charles Manson because her eyes say so much about her when you look at them. That's why I say her eyes are the windows to her black soul. Wow. She's attempted murder as a child, which maybe it's true, maybe it's not, who knows. Many of you have said, I always wish someone came to save me. Well, that's what I'm trying to do for these kids. Why are all of you fighting me? I get enough of that from the state. And this is the best part. I thought this was a safe channel to say whatever I was feeling because my feelings have been suppressed by the court. And now they've been suppressed by most of you. Isn't having your feelings suppressed by the narc something that was an issue for some of you? Think about that. Do as I say, not as I do. The negative comments I received have done nothing but further abuse a victim. Thank you for the support. I guess that's sarcastic. So now she's attacking the entire community, saying, you know, because we're calling her out on her BS, and now we're just further abusing a victim, and we all must be narcissists in hiding then, you know, because, and you don't really see true victims on these channels come out and say what a victim they are. Usually it's like, you know, my story's not as bad as you, or as bad as a lot of other people's, because we've been trained to minimize our abuse, because we've been gaslighted so much. Like, this woman wants to run out into the middle of the street with a sign that says victim, you know? Like, it's just... And then, you know, she can't take any honesty. You know, and it's just... If you had any doubt from Ollie's video on, is it really the mother? Maybe she just cares about her son, maybe it's not. The stuff she's writing on this channel, it just makes it so obvious. Like, she just dug her hole so much deeper here. And this is something that my mother would always do. She tried to make herself look better, like Mother of the Year, and she just would make herself look worse and worse, and it was actually kind of funny watching it, just making such an ass out of herself. So I think this was pretty, I don't want to say funny, these comments. I actually think they're a little scary, but to say I don't care what you people think, and then to spend that much time to write it out and, you know, say how upset you are about the comments, and just like spend paragraphs and paragraphs trying to prove how right you are, but she obviously doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks. So it's just, if there was any doubt from the video, she just outed herself as a raging narc. So I'm sure some of you have seen this video and seen some of these comments. Anyway, hope you all had a good Thanksgiving, and I'll see you on the next video.